Hello, welcome to He's Hop and Something's Off with me, just Joey T. Some of you, just a little housekeeping right off the top. Some of you were not able to find last week's podcast. Actually, someone messaged me about it. And last week's podcast was about a more mature subject. So David and we talked a little bit about sex and about cruises and about orgies. So because of the way that YouTube keeps tabs on different types of explicit content, that video had to be marked as age restricted on YouTube. That means when it's age restricted, it doesn't show up on the search results. It might not just come up onto your regular YouTube feed, like your homepage on YouTube, where YouTube recommends various videos to you, including videos from channels you subscribe to. So you basically had to either had a direct link to it, the YouTube video from last week, which you probably didn't have, or you would have had to go directly to my YouTube profile, my YouTube page, and then look at my uploads. And then you would have seen that video there. Even when you clicked on that video, it would have given you a little prompt from YouTube saying there's like mature content or blah, blah, blah. You had to click into it. If you were just listening to it as a podcast, not from YouTube, from Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else, that doesn't come up. So it's just due to the unique way that YouTube manages its content. So you can post a lot of different things on YouTube, to be really honest, but YouTube, because it's owned by Google and the way Google makes the vast majority of their money, it's via ads, which means there are a lot of ad-related restrictions on things you post on YouTube, which for most people, most types of content, people that are doing cooking videos or tech videos or gadget reviews or car reviews, whatever, those types of things, it's fine. But if I want to talk about sex, then no, some advertisers are not so cool with that. So yeah, that's why on YouTube, you have to really look for it to find last week's video, because David and I did talk about sex. Anyways, I'm thinking maybe I should make a podcast that's more about the cruises, because those are always the episodes that are a little bit more popular. So to kick off today's podcast, I will touch on one Atlantis gay cruise related topic that I have some advice on. And I touched on this a little bit on a previous episode recently with David. It was last week or the week before. And that's to do with when you have a room on the cruise booked with Atlantis, but for whatever reason, you want to sell that room. For some reason, you can't or don't want to go anymore. And this advice is also helpful for those who want to get on a cruise, and for whatever reason, you can't book through Atlantis directly, or you cannot book through a travel agent. Maybe that cruise is sold out, and that's why you can't book. That's usually the main reason. So you're looking at the Facebook groups, or you're looking at other people posting about the cruise who are already booked, and you see some posts about people selling their rooms, and you're thinking, oh, I can just buy a room off of someone who's already booked on this possibly sold out cruise. So the thing I want to explain here is that the rates for the cabins change over time. And a lot of the cruises, they start going on sale 9 to 12 months before the actual sale date. So when you buy a cabin on a cruise 9 or 12 months in advance, the rates are the lowest at that time. So for the different rooms. And as we get closer to the sale dates for that cruise, Atlantis over time cranks up the rates for those. They don't make any big, huge announcements that the rates are going up. It's kind of sort of done silently, okay? But if you were to kind of just track the prices on their websites or through a travel agent or whatever, over time, the rates do go up. So a lot of the times, people that are selling the rooms are the people that have booked, 9 or 12 months in advance. And because the earlier you book the cruise, the more time goes by. And that means there's more of a chance that something in your life will come up for whatever reason. Maybe you book with a partner and your partner can't go anymore, so you are not going to go either. Maybe during the 9 or 12 months between when you booked it and when the cruise happens, you got a new job and you have to move across the country, or something happened, like life happens, right? The longer period of time goes by, the more chance that life is going to throw you a curveball. So a lot of times people that are selling the rooms on the Facebook groups or wherever, they've had the room booked for many, many months. For the people that are trying to get on the cruise and they are not able to book it directly with Atlantis or with a travel agent, that's usually weeks before the cruise. Like if you look maybe just 2 or 3 or 4 weeks out for any cruise, you look at the Facebook groups, that's where you see people that are trying to get on the cruise that can't get on the cruise because it's sold out. So because of that difference in time between the people who want to sell the room that have booked it many months before and the people who are the potential buyers looking just maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks before the cruise, the rates at that time when it's like a month before the cruise are going to be different from the rates of the people trying to sell the rooms when they booked it like 12 months before. And the problem is the seller has to pay the prevalent rate that Atlantis has at that time. So let's say someone is selling their room and they booked it 9 months before the cruise, and the rate they got was like $2,000 for that room. Okay, now it's a month before the cruise, and these people, they decided they can't go on to the cruise anymore. They don't want to go, and they want to sell the room, and they advertise the room for $2,000 because that's what they bought the room for. I'm kind of excluding like the port fees and the gratuities and everything just to make that a little bit easier. They post it onto Facebook or wherever, and then someone who wants to get on the cruise kind of last minute, just a month before the cruise now, they see this person post their room for $2,000 and they're like, oh, great, I will contact that person and get the room for $2,000. Well, you know what? The room is not $2,000 because that rate was the rate that the room was at 9 or 12 months ago, a long time ago. And that is likely not the current rate for that exact same room. So if these people try to call up Atlantis or email Atlantis and try to do the room transfer, Atlantis is going to be like, oh, the rate for the room is not $2,000. It is now, say, $2,500. And that is the price that the seller has to pay for that room. They're not going to honor the original rate. That was the $2,000 rate. They're probably not going to honor that. So the new rate is going to be $2,500. And on top of that, there's going to be a name change fee. Usually it's like $150, give or take. That also has to be paid on top of the new higher rate for the cabin. So the moral of the story here is that if you have booked a room and you are trying to sell it, when you advertise the room for sale and you're going to include the price for the room, you probably should contact Atlantis and just double check what the current rate is for the room that you have already booked, so that when you advertise your room out, you're advertising the accurate figures and numbers. Because especially if you booked a room a long time ago, months has gone by, and now you try to sell the room, it's likely that the rate for your room has gone up. And to prevent, false advertising, you should contact Atlantis and just double check what the rate is for that particular room, so that when you advertise it to the potential buyers of the room, there are not going to be any surprises. And the flip side of that is if you are trying to get on a cruise, especially if it's like a little bit last minute, like, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks before the cruise sets sail, and you're looking for people that are selling their room so that you can buy it, just know that not everyone selling their room knows about this change in the rates. So just make sure that when you see someone advertising the room that they want to sell, whatever numbers that they have, you have to just double check it with Atlantis at that time to make sure that it's really what you're going to pay. Because if someone hasn't sold a room before, they don't necessarily know about this rate change, and they're just going to advertise it for however much they bought it for X months ago, and that's not necessarily what you are going to pay for it. But yeah, so that's a little bit of a tip, something to be aware of if you're trying to sell your room, if you've already booked, as well as if you're looking to get on a cruise and potentially buying a room from someone who is looking to sell it. In addition to that, if for whatever reason there was a line item discount that the seller has gotten, for example, Atlantis will give out discounts to alumni, or sometimes they do a onboard booking discount where if you book for next year's cruise before you've even like disembarked on this year's cruise, sometimes it's popular to do that and they give a discount for that. It's like an onboard discount. It'll show up as a line item in the reservation, basically. Discounts like that, line item discounts like that, usually do not transfer over to whoever you want to sell your room to the new buyer. So that's also something to be aware of. A lot of people will screenshot the line item of the numbers in their existing reservation that shows potentially some discounts. Those don't usually transfer. So that's also something to be aware of as well. In terms of how payment is handled, everything should go through Atlantis or like your travel agency. So using the example of if it's going to go through Atlantis, the name change, they are going to charge you the name change fee. The name change has to be done. Otherwise, you don't really own the room when you buy it. And the payment is also done through Atlantis or maybe the third-party travel agent that you're going through as well. Don't PayPal or like send money to someone you don't know, because that's very, very dangerous and it's not the way that it should be done. So if you get in touch with someone, you're looking to buy a room, you see someone posting their room for sale, you should, the two of you should basically reach out to Atlantis directly. Atlantis should be able to basically facilitate both the change of the name, which is why they charge that fee, and Atlantis will basically reach out to the buyer of the room, and Atlantis will charge the buyer directly for however much money they need to pay. And then Atlantis will also handle refunding. I don't know if that's exactly how they do it, but basically refunding the money to whoever is selling the room. So all the payments should be done through Atlantis directly or via the travel agency if the room was originally booked through a travel agent. Cool. So hopefully that clears up some of the possible confusion around the payment and around the numbers for those of you who are looking to sell your room or looking to buy a room, especially on a cruise that's sold out. That was something I had to learn for the first time because I sold my room early this year for that January cruise in the Caribbean out of Florida, and I didn't know about a couple of those things. So I thought just a little bit of a PSA here for y'all. Cool. Yeah, if you guys want me to do just like cruise specific topics on the podcast, yeah, let me know. When I started this podcast, I envisioned it as just a forum that I could basically just talk about anything that I want. This is my podcast. But if y'all think a cruise specific podcast would be something you find entertaining and fun to listen to, yeah, just let me know. The only way I take comments right now is just on the YouTube comment section for the YouTube version of this podcast that goes up. So feel free to comment there. But I think I'm okay to making that change, switching gears a little bit, because I'm going to start getting into TikTok, which I am a little excited for, but I'm also dreading at the same time because I'm not really a TikTok person, to be really honest. I don't have a presence on TikTok. I try to post a few of the videos, little snippets of the podcast from previous episodes onto my TikTok channel. But I am getting onto TikTok for like marketing reasons. I mentioned before that for a couple of the businesses that I have, marketing is very important. You know, like when you are the product or like you are trying to sell a product or service yourself, you need to market that shit. So I need to be where the audience is. And a lot of the audience is on TikTok and they're also on Instagram. So I'm going to piece together a strategy. Is in the works right now. I'm learning a little bit about it. I just need to have a presence on Instagram, which I kind of already have a presence already. I have some followers there. And also on TikTok, where I have nothing. I'm like starting from scratch. So basically requires me to post regularly on both platforms. And I was looking into TikTok and I had this notion that I'm not on TikTok, so I don't really look at any of the videos, but some TikTok trends and videos have gone viral to the point where even if you're not really on TikTok, you kind of hear about those videos, those viral videos. And you also hear about some of the trends that are going around on TikToks, like video trends, like people doing certain types of videos, for example. A lot of the trendy things on TikTok, I don't care for. To be really honest, I feel like a lot of videos that people make on social media these days are of very little substance and are misleading and are of advice that are not really based in that much truth, and they're pitching opinions as advice. So to take an example, I read an article recently and they were talking about how people wannabe influencers, I don't even want to call them actual influencers, wannabe influencers or just like regular users on TikTok, the thing they try to do is come up with new catchy phrases of like various things. So one phrase that some of these TikTokers are trying to make happen, but like, it's not going to happen. Stop trying to make fetch happen, is loud budgeting. I don't even know what it is, but it's like just one example of like the many, many different catchphrases, quote unquote, that people on social media, especially TikTok, are trying to make like a thing, like a phrase in like the lexicon of like popular culture these days. But the flip side of that is like people would try to like make these things just to go viral, like just for not even 5 minutes of fame, just for like 5 milliseconds of fame. And then it's like old news, and then like the internet moves on to something else. So apparently there's like somewhat recent catchphrases that have been made popular literally for 5 seconds, and then like we don't even talk about them anymore. So that's not the type of content I want to make. I am not trying to get onto TikTok now, and I'm not trying to post content to go viral. I have no desire to go viral. You can quote me on this in this podcast right now. I do not have a desire to go viral. I want to post regularly and have a presence on TikTok and Instagram because that's where the users are, and I'm trying to market a product or a service, and I need to like have a presence there. Like if you're trying to market something, you need to like, have ads or have a presence somewhere. That's all I want. Being viral is definitely not the goal here. And a lot of people on Instagram are, they just want the 5 seconds of fame. And I don't really want that. If I didn't need to market these products or services, I wouldn't be trying to go on TikTok, to be completely honest. And my Instagram, the Just Joey T Instagram, I started it like how a lot of other people started their Facebook or started their Instagram. It was just to post like photos, right, of things they found interesting, and there wasn't really to share with friends and to share with the world without any ulterior motive of like making money. And my Instagram is still like that today. I don't post a lot of photos on my Instagram, to be really, really honest. And then TikTok is just all videos. And videos is a medium I'm familiar with from my my time on YouTube. Yeah, so that's where I'm coming from with the TikTok thing. And I'm thinking I'm okay with making the podcast more of like a cruise related type podcast, if there's enough demand for it, I don't mind doing that. And I'll just move my rambling, to be completely honest. I can do that on TikTok. I used to vlog all the time. I used to vlog twice a week, like 8 or 10 years ago, back in like the YouTube vlogging heydays. And I was doing like diary style vlogs, as was popular on YouTube at that time. I could just do that on TikTok, and it would even be like a little bit easier because it wouldn't be these like 8 or 10 minute vlogs I would post twice a week like I did before. The TikTok videos would just be like so short, like 10, 15, 20 seconds. But I did hear recently that TikTok wants to expand into long format videos, and maybe that's coming. I'll see. I'm trying to come up with like a strategy for it. Anytime I post any sort of content, I don't just like turn the mic on. Well, this is the podcast is the exception, but the podcast I had meant for it specifically to be like a hobby, somewhere where I can just talk and talk and talk, and I don't care if it's successful or not successful. It was just a way for me to like talk. So that's why when I come into this podcast recording studio, I can just hit record, turn the camera on, and I can just talk, and it's like whatever comes to my mouth. Sometimes I do have certain topics I want to talk about, but it's totally unscripted otherwise. With all the other content that I create, which is all like the video-centric content, anything that you see on my YouTube, anything that you see on my OnlyFans, yes, I've got the OnlyFans, you all know where it is, anything of that nature, it's very, very planned out. Everything that I want to film, I have an idea for what the final product is going to look like before I even turn the camera on. There's like a vision and a strategy for all of the video content that I create, no matter what kind of video content it is, and no matter where it ends up, what the distribution medium is, what platform is going to go on. So same for TikTok. I don't want to start a TikTok and not have any sort of like strategy for it. If I did TikTok for fun, purely for fun, the approach would be very different, right? A lot of people do TikTok for fun. That's great. Live your best life. Same for people that do reels on Instagram. They post photos on Instagram. I follow a lot of people on Instagram, and they're mostly just people I've met in real life. They're people that I know, and that's how I follow the Instagram. And they post like for fun. Like I know that they're not trying to be like an influencer. They're just posting things that they do, places that they go, things that they see, and that's great. And a lot of people do that because they're doing it just for fun. You know, they're just doing it to like share with their friends and whoever else cares to follow them. Photos are taking, videos that they're taking, and there's no like end game beyond that, which is great, which is awesome, which is like what my Instagram is right now. But like I said, I'm trying to get on TikTok particularly, basically market myself. Like I'm on OnlyFans now, and I'm the product. And there is kind of like a twofold purpose to that. Yes, I need to market myself, and that's why I'm going to go on like Instagram and also like that specific Instagram channel that I have for that other persona. But the thing is, there's also a bit of a demand from my fan base. It's so weird to use the word fan base like I have like fans. But there's a small little fan base where they want to see more of me outside of like just the cruise videos where I'm talking about cruise topics or I'm making these cruise movies, and also outside of the explicit OnlyFans content that's just like that only lives in behind the paywall, and also like a little bit on Twitter. So even for people who work in the adult content industry, right? People that do OnlyFans, I think is a great example. That do it as amateurs, if you will. Amateurs, quote unquote, they're still making money from it. It's great to see the like porn because that's probably what the vast majority of their fans are there for. But it's also nice to see sometimes for certain fans, some people don't want to see how the sausage is made and they don't want to see anything else besides the porn. But it's also nice to sometimes see, oh, the creator is a real person, and it's nice to see what they're up to outside of like getting fucked. You know what I mean? Not everybody wants to see that though. I feel like, sometimes with porn stars, you just want to see them in porn because that's the fantasy that they create for you. And to see any part of them outside of porn breaks that fantasy. And that's completely okay. But sometimes, on the other hand, sometimes it's nice, especially for people that do like OnlyFans that are more like they're amateurs. They're not like the professional studio level kind of porn stars. It's kind of nice to see, yes, they do the videos, but it's also nice to see them in a context that's not porn. For example, it's very popular to follow like thirst trap Instagram accounts and follow like the hot, pretty people or whatever on Instagram. There are a lot of those types of photos and videos on Instagram, right? And that's not porn, but it's like, it's thirsty content. Thirsty, yet not explicit content. Facebook and Instagram really like have a very clear line on that. So by the way, just make sure you don't step that line, because if you get your Instagram, Facebook account or whatever banned or blocked or deleted or whatever, it is very hard, if not impossible, to get your account back. So just make sure you're not posting anything too thirsty on your Facebook/Instagram. It's all run by Meta, so it's like kind of probably like the same content moderation teams. It's not that uncommon for people to have their Instagram account deleted, or just like, it's deleted basically, or like banned. And I always hear people say like, oh, my account got banned and I don't know why. And like, I know exactly why. It's because you're posting like extremely thirsty content, and it was just like borderline questionable whether this is like sexually arousing content or not. So with Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, those types of things, you can't post any content, especially photos and videos that are like too suggestive, too sexually suggestive. So you just got to play like pretty conservative over on those platforms. And honestly, that line that you can't cross gets more and more conservative by the day, and it has over the years. That's all the can of worms I'm not going to get into. Yeah, but anyways, so that's why I'm going to go on TikTok. I'm the product now. I do OnlyFans. I'm the performer or the model. I'm the product. And yeah, it's nice to have a presence outside of just OnlyFans or just for fans or wherever the paywalls are. But some people do want to follow their favorite performer or actor or OF person or whatever outside the confines of just the porn videos. And they, wouldn't mind having like a shirtless picture from you once in a while on your Instagram, or like a thirst trap from you on Instagram, or like a shirtless video from you doing like whatever on their TikTok. So yeah, that's why I'm doing the TikTok, and I'm gonna do like Instagram Reels and things like that. But it has to be from the content creator side of things. I'm not the kind of person that can just like randomly take a video and throw it out there. I have a very methodical process for any sort of video content that I create. So yeah, there's gonna be like, if you want to know how the sausage is made, there's a posting schedule that I have, like for my OnlyFans, for example. There's a schedule. I've got a calendar, and it's all color coded. I've got a spreadsheet of every single video I've ever filmed and edited and have posted, so that I can keep track of like every single video. Everything that I post on my Twitter, which is explicit, not safe for work, there's a posting schedule for that. Like different days of the week, I post different things. If I want to run a promotion or something, that goes on the calendar. So I look at a calendar, and I look at my list of all the content that I have. And then I look at, all the platforms that I have. And I'm like, okay, we have this new collab that is coming out. It's going to be posted on Friday. Okay, we need like the teaser clips, like the 10-second teaser clips, the 30-second teaser clips. Okay, the 30-second teaser clip will go on like to go into the OnlyFans, the free OnlyFans page, and then it'll go on to This other Tencent clip will go onto Twitter, and then this other clip will go onto this other platform, that platform for marketing or whatever. So there's a lot of business, like marketing, especially, and branding, and a lot of like content management and managing the social media. There's a lot of that goes on behind the scenes. Filming the video is the easy part, actually. Editing the video, editing takes a lot of time. Some people like it. A lot of people don't. I'm like neutral about it. But then all the work that goes into selling and marketing that video out, it's a lot of work, and it's not particularly sexy. It's not as sexy as the end video product for sure. But I kind of find the whole business of it, everything overall, to be like very interesting. I'm pretty interested in like the businessy side of things, and I'm learning a lot about various marketing and sales things that I had zero experience or skills in before. So, like I said, that's a very long-winded way of me explaining why I'm gonna be on TikTok and why I'm gonna be there. Like the reasons behind it. Yeah, so we'll end the podcast there. Yeah, maybe I should make the podcast more cruise specific, because, well, this goes onto the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is pretty much just all about the cruising and the parties. And then I can take my non-cruise content rambling over onto TikTok, where I'm going to be under a different name. But I feel like the Just Joey T branding is very strongly associated with the cruise videos, because people come to me like, oh, are you Just Joey? And yes, I am. So yeah, let me know what you think. Branding is like so important in today's world, and I would love to just have the Just Joey T branding just be about the cruises, because everyone kind of sort of associates that anyways. That was just my personal like username for my online social media accounts from like 12 years ago, and it's evolved into the YouTube videos, so everyone associates Just Joey T with cruise videos, which is fine. And then maybe I would just take my other persona, which is the Kian persona, and maybe that's where I'll have like my own personal whatever stuff that's like not cruise related. What do you guys think? Feel free to comment down on the YouTube channel below. But until next time, bye.